Okay, good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to ECO Institute of Technology December webinar on closing the digital skills, upskilling and reskilling. And it's indeed a pleasure to have you all be a part of this important conversation at this time. So I'm Victor Daniels, and I serve as the head of program and learning at ECO Innovation Center and ECO Institute of Technology. ECO Institute of Technology is the learning institute of ECO Innovation Center, which is focused on building and accelerating tech talent and an employability ecosystem. And this month will be driving conversation around how to close the digital skill gap and how to help upskill and reskilling young people in tech, towards 2023. And here with me is Damilare Mesimo, who is the Chief Operating Officer, United Bank PLC, digital bank, with vast years of experience as a senior digital product manager and product owner in fintech industry. So he has worked around loads of financial institutions, helping to lead and manage products and also serving as a product owner. So I'll just pass it on to Damilare Mesimo. You're welcome on board, and you can go on to share with us the loads of values and insights with our audience. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Daniel, and good afternoon or good evening to everyone on the call. It's my pleasure to be here. I was just saying to Daniel that I will try as much as possible to keep my conversations very short, so we don't drag the time. So I'll give a brief. I'll give a brief into me, what I do, my journey, and then we take up the conversation, because in a way, I think my journey ties into this conversation that talks about the shortages we have right now, the skill shortages in digital economy, and how we can upskill. I started off my career in 2007 in Zenith Bank as a copper. Back then, I was working up country. So back then, if you say up country means anywhere outside Lagos. So it could be the southwest, it could be north, anywhere outside Lagos was referred to as up country. And I was in Ibadan at the time. Worked at the teller point in Zenith Bank. I worked as a teller for about 5 years, both in Ibadan, Abeokuta, and finally I found my way down to head office. And I remember my first task was in card services department of Zenith Bank. And what we were doing at that time was more of, I was in the reconciliation team. So it was more of looking at transactions happening online across our channels, and the settlements were received to ensure that our stakeholders were settling us, or were being settled for all our online transactions. So at a point, I just didn't understand why I was going into all this kind of, it wasn't like I wanted to just jump into that part of tech, but I just found myself there as a reconciliation guy. And after a while, I left Zenith Bank to join First Bank. And my first 1 year at First Bank, I was working in the branch again as head of customer service, and I doubled as ATM custodian. As ATM custodian, I had that responsibility of ensuring that our ATMs had cash in them, and that responsibility of ensuring that those ATMs at all times were working. If you know First Bank very well, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., to go to any First Bank branch, you will see that their ATMs work, and that's because First Bank has taken ATM business very serious. It is serious business. Number one for them is the customer must always be satisfied. So they taught us how to not just load your ATM, but how to troubleshoot the ATM. So for example, I put in money in the ATM. We had a phone. We used to call the phone Gaspar phone. So it means that when the ATM has a problem, it alerts us on our phone and says, "Oh, there's a problem on the phone on the ATM. Watch," and it tells you the exact problem. Maybe cash out. So you know that your ATM 2 does not have cash. Maybe it has gone offline. You know that you need to go and restart your system. Maybe cash jam. You don't need to remove all the canisters and start bringing out the wrong footnote. So all of those operational things were things that I had done with First Bank. And when there was an opening again at head office, e-business, I applied, did the interview, and then they took me in. I remember my first 3 months there, I was a BI guy. I worked with a very solid team lead, Steven, and we will sit down, we will do proper market research. What is Bank A doing that we're not doing? What is Bank B doing that we're not doing? What should we be doing at this point? We do proper market research. At the same time, we use different BI tools to do our data analysis of the entire e-business group, all the departments there. How many cards have we issued this month? Not enough transaction, how much has gotten to us? Look at the guys in financial inclusion services. How many agents do we have now? How much are we making on this agency banking? We look at the guys in the mobile banking. How many downloads do we have right now on our mobile app? How much are we making from there? So different metrics using to spool out and also pull out data to know what we should do. So we had all of that going for us. And I left First Bank in 2018. Yeah, 2018 to join Coral Pay Tech. Coral Pay Tech was a product-led company. The beauty of Coral Pay was the MD/CEO used to be the head of card services in Zenith Bank. Very solid guy, very, very solid guy. And so when people ask me my mentors, and I tell that is one of my mentors till tomorrow. And so we got into Coral Pay Tech. And at that time, Coral Pay was just starting. They had built a solution that they had looked at the market and said, people go to a merchant location to use their cards. And most times you just hear, the POS is not okay, go and do a transfer, or go and use ATM and give us cash. And the question was, how do we solve this problem? So Coral Pay had sat down to say, you know what, we want a solution where people don't need card on POS. Instead, they will get to the merchant location, pick up their item. At the point of payment, the cashier picks up the POS, chooses Seagate solution, puts in the amount, gets a unique reference code, gives it to you. You dial your whatever bank you're using. If it's GT Bank, *737, *000, whatever code they give to you, hash, and it sends a message to the POS, and the POS prints your receipt, and transaction ended, just like you are using a card. So those were the few things that Coral Pay did. And after a while, I looked at our business to say, you know what, we can bring in more businesses. And so we brought in bills payment, where we're connecting directly to billers, getting APIs, wrap them together, taking them to banks, taking them to merchants. And trust me, the company is doing fantastically well. Coral Pay was also the first Alipay processor in Nigeria. And I remember that I processed that first transaction in Nigeria, Alipay inward transaction. And so we've had, it's been a journey. And I found myself in United Capital PLC. It's an investment banking firm where I came in as group head of digital business. I ran that business for 2 years. And within 1 year of running that business, we had grown our customer base by 100%. We had grown our transaction processing by 100%. We started processing 1 billion naira every year on that transaction for a company that had less than 70,000 at that time, 70,000 customers. We're already doing 1 billion naira every year rather, on our online, on our platform. And so I ran the business, managed the platform, had some successes there. And early this year in January, the company said, you know what, we're going to the product-led environment. We want to build a digital bank. You go in as chief operating officer. So I've had 1 year of working in United Capital Digital Bank. Is actually UCMFB. We are licensed by the CBN. to build financial services products. We're a digital bank, and we're trying to model global standards in Nigeria. So I would say for a fact, it's been a very, very, very interesting ride. When people say, oh, you have this wealth of experience, just like Daniel was saying, look at it and say, you know what, guys, I don't even know anything, because there are so many guys who are way ahead of me in this journey. But I think that's where I said it ties into today's topic. It then becomes a function of, you need to understand the current market realities. That's number one. Understand the current market realities, and then ask yourself, am I up to par? Is there something I need to do? Are there new learnings I need? So those are things that we'll look at. But then again, before I start, I would share my screen with you. Let's look at the skill shortages first. What has happened in Nigeria in the last, say, 4 years? Why do we have shortages right now? What is the solution to it? Then when we are done with that, we'll now have a discussion to say to ourselves, so for us that are left here, what is the way forward? What are the opportunities we have? Let me tell you, what people don't know right now is the rate at which people are, let me use the word giant, the jackpot rate in Nigeria, is creating opportunities for other people in the country. So for example, I know a company where they recruit, they do the HR guy there does interviews every day. Because as one person is leaving, it has created a vacuum for another person to come. So the question is, are you putting yourself in a position where if there is an opportunity today, you can easily fit in? That's the question. So don't get angry that people are leaving the country. Don't be like, oh, because they have money, that's why they're leaving the country. No, be happy that they're leaving the country, because when they leave the country, it creates space for you. But you can only occupy that space if only you have the right qualities, if only you are bringing value to the table. If there's no value you're bringing to the table, even if 1,000 people leave, nobody will employ you. So those are things that we would discuss. Look, it's not part of the slide, but those are things we will discuss. Daniel, could you just enable me to share my screen?
Okay, so you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, sure. Good.
Okay. I'm trying to, okay, that's a lot better now. So, like I said, it's a very, very, very short presentation. We just want to talk about skill shortages in this economy. And I would really love it to be participatory. I want to get as many inputs as possible. Trust me, I have my pen, I have my notebook with me, because I want to learn from everybody on this call. All right. So first off, let's look at what has happened. That's the first thing. What has actually happened with this jackpot syndrome. Number one is brain drain. So Nigeria is a country with about 4 billion naira in terms of digital economy. We're not looking at the GDP of the country. When we look at the digital economy, looking at the 4 billion plus digital economy. And we are at the moment, let's forget the money we are raising, $1 million. This guy raised $500,000. This guy raised $200,000. If you compare us to the potentials and the capacity that we have as the tech hub of Africa, after with the likes of Ghana, with the likes of Egypt, with the likes of Kenya, if you compare us as that tech hub, we are at the moment underperforming. We're underperforming because we have an excessive brain drain problem right now. So let me give you a good example. I was in a discussion with a few guys, and they were talking to me about how They needed to bring in some developers into their company, that they were using this very serious platform, and that they had bought it off from the vendor. And what they required now was who could build on it once they had finished the project with the OEM. And also, that's fantastic. So I said, what are you guys doing now? So we interviewed a couple of guys, some solid guys, and they've accepted our offer and they'll be resuming. That's what they said. And I said, oh, fantastic. Guess what? The guy accepted the offer, and a day before resumption, sent them a mail and said, oh, I'm sorry, I got a better offer somewhere. The better offer I got somewhere was not a Naira-based offer, it was a dollar-based offer. So between you and I, if you see somebody who is offering us, let's imagine you're earning 1 million Naira every month, and somebody's offering you, I pay you $10,000 a month after tax, $10,000 a month after tax. Please tell me if you will not go. You will go now. No matter how you love this country, you will tell yourself that, you know what, when I get to where I'm going to, I'll be sending money home. Even when they tell you that, you know what, Baba, you're not even going to, you don't have to come, it's hybrid, you can work from anywhere. You will sit down in your house and you will take that job, except for people who have the mind of taking 2-3 jobs at the same time and say, don't worry, this life and now to also, when I finish here, I will enjoy myself. People can go that route. But then again, one key thing we're suffering from today is brain drain. The rates at which people are leaving this country, and not just people, tech people, is causing a lot of brain drain. Somebody sent me a stat recently and said to me that we just keep talking in tech that people are leaving. The honest truth that tech is not as bad as consulting. And the consulting industry, people are really, really migrating, and it's affecting that place. So what are the problems we are seeing today? We are seeing serious brain drain. We're also seeing excess labor shortage. Allow me to read what PwC said. PwC said that private businesses on the continent observed that 36% of business leaders in Africa admit that they lack the required people to achieve the full benefit of digital transformation. 36%, a whopping 36%, says that the guys we need to move us from point A to point B, the guys we require to transform our processes, the guys we need to say no more paper in this office, all what we want to do is digital. The guys we need to sit down on ideas and think, what is the problem of this country? How can we solve this problem with technology? He said, those guys, they don't have them again because those guys have gone. So there's excess labor shortage. And that's why I was telling somebody who was saying to me that, oh, it was kind of, I won't use the word bragging. It was kind of trying to tell me that, see, I get people reach out to me on LinkedIn every time. I get offers, I get this, I turn that down. I said to him, see, your guy, it's not that you're so fantastic. Is that there are too many jobs outside right now in Nigeria because people have left. It's not like you're so fantastic. People have left. So now to make that, all those offers they are giving you, to make it worth it, you now need to let them know that, you see, you came to me not because that seat was empty, but because you saw value in me. So it means that you need to do proper research of what that seat requires. You need to do extensive research of the value you need to bring. So that when they say resume, they won't say, what nonsense have we employed in 6 months? They won't say that. So it's very, very critical, very, very critical that we don't see ourselves as, oh, we're the best in town, but instead understand the market, excuse me, how it is evolving, how it is changing, so that when these opportunities come, we're able to tap into it. Another thing, I said labor shortage. Now, let's look at tech talent shortage, the tech talent bit. Let's look at it very well. It says, what is perhaps unique about the latest migration wave is that it significantly affects the nascent tech ecosystem in Nigeria. Between 2014 and last year, 474 Nigerians, and last year, see, within this report, I was getting from, I think, tech, who are these guys? I've forgotten their name again. But it's saying between 2014 and 2021, this 2022 was when we saw that major surge. Last year was a child's play. So 474 Nigerian tech guys had left through the global talent visa route last year, between 2014 and last year. Now, if we're looking at the UK, for example, and looking at where they talked about students coming and all of that, and we see that between January and June, the report was that 56,000 plus Nigerians, or the UK had granted 56,000 Nigerians study visa between January and June. So let's imagine that number has doubled, because I don't have the exact amount, the exact figure after June. So let's imagine that number has doubled. If it has doubled, let's say we've given at least, let's not even use double, let's be conservative. We're giving at least 70,000 study visas to Nigerians this year alone. Of those 70,000, don't forget that they're going to go with their husband and their wives. Imagine half of them are your developers, are your product designers, are your product managers, are your data analysts, are your head of IT operations, are your backend architects, are your user experience guys, your UI guys. So how many people are left in the tech ecosystem? Meanwhile, every day there's a new startup coming up in Nigeria. Who and who are those people working in those startups? That's the question. Because people are leaving and there's a tech talent shortage. I want to close out this session, this part of this discussion very soon. I'll go into an interactive one where we'll then talk about the opportunities we have. And at that point, I won't be presenting any slide. I'll be asking us. I would love to see from all our communities, all our channels on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Let's have a conversation today. People are going, but we don't have a problem with people going. But for those who are still within the ecosystem, what opportunities do we have? So, question is, why are people going? Why? That's the question. Why are guys leaving the country? Why? What is going on? Why are they going? Number one, many people living in the country today are employed. They are employed, though. They are not jobless. So let's start with, if you are going to do, if you're going to school, for example, you know, before you get proof of funds, I've heard so many discussions where somebody will tell me that, oh boy, I paid almost 1 million naira for proof of funds. Oh. And I'm asking, bro, 1 million naira, if you put that money into a business in Nigeria and you're doing it well, you make money now. So the people that are going are actually paid. They're actually people that have money. They have money. So it's not a function of maybe these ones are suffering. They have jobs, but they just look at it and say, wait a minute. I'm a product manager here in Nigeria, and they're paying me how much? 500K. My guy is a product manager in London. That guy is netting 5,000 pounds. Now, the problem we make again is that we then convert 5,000 by 800 or something, which sometimes doesn't make sense to me, because I'm asking myself, why would you do that conversion that way? You should operate in the economy where you are. Even if you convert the money, it's not the same economy where we are now. It's just like saying you go to one guy on Instagram saying that, oh, Nigerians are enjoying, they don't know what they're enjoying. That he went to a store to buy yam. Tube of yam cost him £5. And I said, that's 4,000 naira. And I said to myself that that's a ridiculous way to do your comparison. You know why? Because if you earn £1,000 in whatever country, let's say you're in the UK, you earn £1,000, and your bills, maybe you're paying rent of, let's use 2,500. You're paying rent of say 600 every month. Your bills, everything comes down to say 1,000. Then your money to largesse 500. Then that means you have an additional £500 you're playing with. That's it. Just compare apple for apple. Don't do conversion. And that's why whenever we travel and you enter the store, you want to buy something, you say, oh, it's £10. You calculate at 8,000 naira. No. In Balogo market, that thing is 2.5, and you drop it. No, don't stress yourself, eh? Don't do all this kind of conversion. Do apple for apple. Don't do all those kind of conversion. So the guys who are leaving the country today, they believe that they are not paid their worth. They believe that, see, if I'm in another country and I'm doing this particular job, I will earn this amount, and in the next few months, I would have saved up to buy XYZ. I'll give you a good example. A friend of mine, a product manager here in Nigeria, left the country 2 years ago with a family, and good enough, While my friend was studying, the partner was working. And within the first few months of working, partner already got it changed visa from study to skilled visa, got a company sponsor and everything. And they were doing well. And so we're talking, my friend just said to me that, guy, see, man, I just bought a house. And I'm asking, just bought what? You just left here 2 years ago now. Say yes now. Two of us are combined income. We paid down, bought a house, mortgage, and we moved on. So those are the things that people are seeing and are hearing and making people leave. So we're just talking about why people are going. So that for anybody that is confused here that why are people going? Nigeria is not that bad. Nigeria is not bad. I keep telling you that in this country, there are bountiful opportunities. See, Nigeria is land of, all of us that know LOP back in the days, Nigeria is land of plenty. There are opportunities. So people feel like for what I'm doing here, they're not paying me my worth. And if I'm in Germany, if I'm in Canada, if I'm in the US, I'm in the UK, I'll be paid my worth and I would also have a better life. Another thing is, the reason why people are going is, I read a report yesterday and I was actually doing a paper and I saw how Nigeria in 2022, Nigeria's investment in tech or investment in tech in Nigeria had grown, that doubled what we had done in 2021. And I read about the growth of the tech industry in Nigeria, from fintech to insurtech to proptech to edutech to LTech. I was amazed. When I now compared the growth of tech in Nigeria and Africa, I looked at Africa together and I compared it to only one country, the United Kingdom. We're way apart. We're way apart. So where Nigeria had raised, in context, I don't have exact figures in my head right now, where Nigeria had raised in the entire year, say $1 billion, where the continent, Africa itself, had raised $1 billion, the UK tech industry had raised about $19 billion. So giving you a mindset to people believe that there are greater opportunities outside. Then again, what is the reason why people are going again? Is a function of, even with the little we have here, the guys playing in the global space understand that Nigeria is a land of green opportunities. They hear and they see the amazing things that go on in our tech industry. And guess what they are doing today? They are coming in to say, who and who can we take? Who and who can we poach? Google is in Nigeria today already. Amazon is coming to Nigeria very soon. Twitter is in Ghana, is already in Ghana. Before you know it, you have more of these tech companies coming to Nigeria. And before you know it, these guys begin to take from our local companies. And before you know, these guys have gone again. We now start the cycle from the beginning to say, where do we get talent from again? So these are a few things to say why people are going. And it's the same thing here. It's the same thing here to show how these two big guys have shown interest in our growing ecosystem and how our ecosystem is bleeding out because people are really going. Now, other issues that people are going is they believe that the environment is not enabling, high cost of associated with ICT equipment and all of that. Insecurity. Another reason people are going, insecurity. Some say there's no job opportunity for them. Some say lack of financial security is why they are going. Now, we'll close out with the solutions. We'll end the slides and then we'll open up the discussions and start taking our feedback. And from there, we'll close out. I promised Daniel that I would do just 30 minutes. I think I'm still on cue. Oh, it's 4:30. Daniel, these are at 4 o'clock sharp. I think I said at 4:05 or 4:10. So I guess I have another 10 minutes. Now, how do we solve this problem? And that's where the question of how do we reskill, how does it come in? I'll give you guys a very, very good story. So building my career as a product manager. So let's forget the title, Chief Operations Officer is a title. I'm actually a product manager, and I've been opportuned to work with some solid people in the industry. and we've built some products from the scratch. Not to mention a few of the products I've worked on that we built from the scratch. Today, are doing the transaction processing, the minimum they are doing is 500 million naira every day. Not revenue, not income. I mean, the amount of transaction, the value of what they process on a daily basis ranges between 350 and 500 million every day. And so I've been very opportune to work on all those projects as product owner, as product manager, and push those things to market. And today, those folks are doing very well in the different places I previously worked. Now, the question is, at the time when I was doing product management in those places, all I knew in my head was building with waterfall methodology. For those who are in tech, you will know that waterfall says that if this does not end, we cannot start this. If this does not end, we cannot move on to this. So it means that if I want to build this computer today, and I've taken all the requirements from my stakeholder, say, okay, there must be keyboard there, there must be keypad there, there must be a screen there, there must be it must have battery, it must have a cord. Once we've done all of that, and we say you have signed off, and we're about to begin a project, if you come tomorrow and say, no, I want it to have USB, I will say it's not part of the requirements. So you know what will happen? We'll finish everything we have done, then we will not come back to work. So that's the way we're building there. And then I took up that model to everything I was doing. But then again, I worked in a place where we now brought in, they recruited some bright minds in the tech department, guys who had worked in product-led companies for a long time, guys who were sharp, who were thinking on their feet. And I was sitting out as Oga, and they were in another department, and we had to relate. And I was hearing these guys talk, and I said to myself, wait a minute. For me to be at the same level these guys are speaking, I cannot continue using the knowledge of 3, 4, 5 years ago. And so what did I do? Intentionally, I started going to, I sat down in meetings, I would allow them talk. They'll say, what's my opinion? I'll just do boju boju. You know, sorry, for those who are not Yoruba, I'll just do like, say, oh, I think that works. You're spot on. That's very apt. I was taking notes, understanding what they were saying. And when I was able to take enough from those meetings, I will now go on all those online channels, all those courses with Udemy, Coursera. I will take courses. I had a notepad, write down. When I was done with the courses, I then went on YouTube itself to say, let's see the practicality. And when I was done with that, a new project came up. And I was like, guys, you see, we're running this project we're running it agile. We're not doing waterfall. You would think that I've been doing agile all my life. So it was a function of understanding that the market is changing, and I also needed to change. So when it comes to reskilling, it is very, very important. I don't know if somebody took, you disabled me, I'm not able to share my screen again, but that's fine. When it comes to reskilling, it is very, very important that we're able to, you see, you should be intentional about developing yourself. So I have a mentor friend who work in the same organization, and I said to him one day that I'm tired of product management. I want to move into something new and all of that. He said, what? I said, I understand the business side of tech, because my main expertise is in tech business. And I said, I want to understand, these people are always coding. Let me even code with them now. Let them not chance me every time. That's what I was saying to him. And he sat me down. He ran me through. He said, you go here, you do this, you go here, you do this. He was saying all of that to me. And I was able to take all of that. So it's very, very, very important that we are intentional about developing our skills. You can do it on your own. You can have mentors. Just make sure that you're intentional about it. Very, very important. And for those of us who are senior members here, I think we will need to go beyond sitting down in interviews and looking at what somebody is saying, somebody's qualification, and go past that and look at the value they can bring in. So today, I don't look at when I'm in interviews, I don't look at whether you went to OAU, Unilag, UI, you went to University College London. No. I look at, I go to the skills. What have you done? What have you built? What have you managed? And that's why sometimes I like the way these Oyinbo people, their CVs, I like the way it is, because you see them write it there. I managed XYZ project that resulted in XYZ. Those are kind of things I want to see. And I'll say, okay, if that's what you did, how did you do it? Can you take us through that, how you did it? And I'll say, okay, this person will bring value to me. So in this era of people, and I took my time to tell you why people are leaving, broke it down to let you know why they are leaving. Some people consider it as legit reason for leaving, while some say, some are just joining the bandwagon and are going with people. So for me, I'm saying to us here today that where people have gone, there are spaces available. There are spaces available. I was working on a project with somebody. They're about to kickstart a digital bank too. And guess how many people they need? They need 69 people. 69. So 69 people, what does that mean? It means that in the midst of people are living, in the midst of there is no job, in the midst of 69 people will get a job. So imagine all the new startups coming up, looking for people. Imagine the ones who say, oh, in 2022, we lost 10 staff to immigration. Are you saying they will leave those 10 roles vacant? No. If those roles are bringing value, they will not leave them vacant. So what happens to us, we that we are left here? It's an opportunity for us to sit down and look at our skills, reevaluate yourself. See, my people, forget your title in your office, forget your years of experience on the job, forget what you know. You know what? Unlearn to relearn. That's it. I think that's the key word for everybody here. Whatever you know, whatever you think you know as a tech person, unlearn and relearn. That is the only way. That's the only way you're going to move in this industry. But when you keep thinking that I've done it in A, done it in B, I've done it in C, I'll use that knowledge in D, E, and F. It might not work out that way. It might not work out that way. You need to unlearn and relearn. And then again, I realized, and this is my personal opinion, you can disagree with me. I realized that most of us in this industry focus on I'm happy to share that on LinkedIn. I'm happy to share that. Baba, see, be happy to share money. That was one that is most important. Be happy to share money. I'm happy to share that I'm now a billionaire. That's it. But most of us, what we share, I'm happy to share that I just got a certificate from Amazon. I just got AWS. I just got that's so I realized that people in this space are really racing for the first person to share. I'm happy to share. So now when I'm even going on my LinkedIn page and I see that LinkedIn has made it very interesting now. Before we didn't have that portrait, that the yellow, the smiley face and some balloons. We didn't have that before. Once I just see, what I look for is, where is this person going to? What has this person achieved? Okay, move on. And then I continue reading the ones who have told me that, oh, I was at this place, we had this discussion, this is the value, I look forward to what this is bringing. Those are things that people want to see. Want to see and understand the value you are bringing to the table. Value is very, very important. So you need to put yourself in a position where if you are not around, I'm not saying work will not go on, but they will feel it and say, if this guy were around, would have been able to achieve A, B, and C. That's where you need to put yourself. If you're in a position where even when you are on vacation, even you yourself, you know that I'm not in the office, my body is scratching me. These things will not get done. I need to check on this one. See, you need to put yourself in that position. I will share my LinkedIn account with you. It's my name, actually. Don't worry, you will not say I'm happy to share. You will see different things that we have done. There are different things there. I'll drop it in the comment section. So it is very, very critical that we understand the market we're playing in, and we are able to put ourselves in that same market with not with existing knowledge, but with refined knowledge every day. It's very, very important. And one thing I want to say to us before I close out is this: never, ever allow anybody determine your value. Never. You know what you carry. You know your value. You know that, see, if they employ me today as a developer, I can build XYZ. Don't let anybody determine who you are. You know your capacity. You know what you can do. It's very, very important. So for those of us, I'm in paid employment. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have a startup. I don't have anything. But for those of us that are in paid employment, you need to also think for the mindset that, if today they ask me to go, what I carry, can it build a company tomorrow? Even though in my first 1 month, I'll be taking say 5,000 naira. I'll be making profit of 100,000. But I know that in 1 year, I will grow from 100,000 naira profit to 10 million. The next year, I'll go to 50. Next year, do you have that value? Do you have that capacity? That's what you should be. That's what you should be chasing. So I see people who just get comfortable. Don't worry, I don't want to work for anybody. Yeah, no doubt. You don't want to work for you want to work for somebody. Not everybody is built to be a CEO. Don't worry. We understand that. But you develop yourself to be a CEO. But the question is this: have you harnessed your value to an extent where if tomorrow they say, no, this guy should go, can you, with the value you carry, say, yes, I can build a company on my own? Very, very important. So I will stop here and I'll open up the floor. Let's begin. So those of us that are typing, maybe this is a time for you to open up the conversations and let's ask questions. I see people typing, but I think let's make it more interactive. Let's talk. So Daniel, please, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Damilare. I think you've done justice to the topic for today on closing the digital skills gap, upskilling and reskilling. You've been able to give in-depth insight as to how young people can better position themselves and also how they can also work towards upskilling themselves as well for many opportunities in the tech space, in the tech industry. And you being an authority in that space, I believe you've been able to leverage your experience to even give more knowledge as to how we can better evaluate ourselves and better position ourselves for many of the opportunities in the space. But I know quite a number of people might not be able to unmute because this is a live section going on, but just feel free to drop your question in the chat section and we can take up the question from there. But on my own end, I think, this is more of a conversation that we're looking at, and Damilare has given justice, looking at the individualistic level. So looking at the policy level, the government level, for instance, there's this narrative that the decreasing half-life of skills is a direct result of advancement in technology. So, for instance, the skills you have in 10, 15 years might not be relevant today. So as new technologies are, coming up and people are looking at, bringing up new technology. For instance, today, smartphones are everywhere. They are ubiquitous and the skills required to use them is taken for granted. And in just a few years, the same would be true for new technologies that have not even been invented yet. I checked the recent report by the World Economic Forum that the average life of a skill is 6 years. And that's why this particular topic is very important. That is, people need to keep upskilling themselves and as well reskilling yourself. I know of some developers, for instance, that in the last 5 years, they've been working around the Web2 space, but recently they realized that there's a need for them to garnish their skills with Web3. And that's what the World Economic Forum is saying, that the average half-life of a skill is 6 years, and it is projected to decrease to just 2.5 years by 2030. And that's due to the evolution of new emerging technologies. And what this actually will result into, before going to my question, is that in less than 10 years, the average person will need to learn new skills more than twice as often as they do today. That is very, very fascinating. That is very interesting. And that is why it is even much very important for, people to always, embrace the test to get or acquire more skills, to, get in and acquire more skills, to reskill and to upskill. So my question would just be, what do you think has been the investment in skills in Nigeria and Africa at large? Because, you've been able to talk around how we as individual, even working with an organization as well, how we can better position, how we can upskill, how we can reskill. But what do you think is the state of investment in skills in Nigeria and Africa at large? Because I feel this is even very much important for many young people that are looking at upskilling themselves, that are looking at acquiring, skills in the tech space. Thank you.
So, brilliant question. And I'll refer to the country, I'll refer to the continent. In terms of investment in skills, I think we are not where we used to be a year ago. Right now, we're doing more. We're doing. If I'm going to rate it, I'll mark the country itself 7/10. I might not be able to speak of the continent, but Nigeria 7/10. And why am I saying that? We hear of different companies or different organizations today have hackathons, whether you like it or not. Hackathon is also, you can look at it more as an investment in skills, in technology skills. So we have people who say, you know what, I have this. What I do today is I'm bringing people into a pool. You come, I give them problems. They go and ideate, and then we look for how we can resolve issues, how we can build solutions around it. So today, as a country, as an industry, there is Can you see us?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I think there was a bit of interruption.
Oh.
It's normal.
Oh, okay.
You can.
That's fine. That's fine. So, as a country, I would say that when it comes to investment in digital skills, I'm going to mark our script. I'll say 7/10. And the question you ask me why, I see even traditional banks today. Banks themselves today are already organizing hackathons. You see banks saying that I want to reward. You even see investment banking firms also saying the same thing. I'm giving $10,000 to the winner of this. You see guys in FCMG or FMCG also doing the same thing. So whatever way we see it, we are investing in technology. I think what we just need to do is to say to ourselves that aside saying you want to have hackathons and people coming in, we need to have more like an innovation hub, right? And not just one. We need every player, we need every local government in the country. I think that's where you guys come in, eco-innovation. Even if it is not in the country, you can focus on Lagos to say, for in Lagos State, every local government has a tech hub. And what that tech hub is going to do is more focused on, you know what, if you want to come into tech, we have different things you can do in tech. You want to be a product manager, a product designer, a product owner, you want to be a back-end dev, front-end dev, an architect, whatever it is you want to do, as long as in this tech space, come through this, our hub, we will train you. Once we are done training you, we would more like have, looking for this word, like a placement for you. So it means that eco-innovation would have partnered with different firms that say, you know what, we'll be passing our cohorts through you. So once these people finish, we'll put them in different places. Once we're able to achieve that, in Lagos, let's start with Lagos. Once we can do that in Lagos, you will see the growth. So when we know I said we brain drain, we won't have brain drain again. We won't have labor shortage again, because as A is going, B is taking over. And don't forget, B has been prepared in the class and has been prepared on the field. So I think that would really boost what we currently have today.
Wow, that's spot on. Thank you for that answer. Actually, I was about asking a follow-up question, but I think you've even given more clarity to the follow-up question, and that the aspect of even private public partnership. For instance, a co-innovation center, it's a private organization, but we've been able, we see that for us to be able to help accelerate the tech ecosystem, partnership with state governments in setting up innovative programs to upskilling young people and also helping with placement as well. And if you check in our last program, the Heart of Technology 4.0, which was focused solely on talent acceleration and smarter Lagos. We bring in policy makers, we bring in experts across diverse sector to come talk about and give solution around talent issues in Nigeria. And I think it's even very, very important for us to have tech hubs, and that is even the reason we've been kind of even leveraging partnership. For the Art of Technology 4.0, we had a partnership with Nest Hub, we had it Updoor, and there we're able to build conversation around how we can help with investment in talent development in Nigeria, across states in Nigeria, and even in Africa. And here we have section whereby we invited key stakeholders across different hubs in Africa, in Kenya, Ghana, Bangladesh, and all of that. They come in and we're able to brainstorm, drive conversation around that. And I think it's very, very, very important. Very, very, very important when we're looking at, helping to accelerate the state of investment in skills, talent development in Nigeria and Africa. Thank you very much for that response. So I could see someone raising up hand. I don't know if you would like to unmute and go on to ask your question.
Good evening, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, my question is not much, sir. My question is just about the tech space, how it is growing, and about the certification. We have people that are in science, but not in technology, not in technology aspect, not like computer science students, but they're still under the Faculty of Science. But the main point is just people that are from the other department. How are they going to get their way to strategize, to get the tax done, to get the certification one, to get working, to get partnership, to get involved in hackathon, and to get involved in projects? How can they engage? Because I see a lot of Nigerians, a lot of youth, let me put it out on that graduate that are willing to travel to explore, probably to study the course itself, and then find a way around the boxer. That's my question, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. I didn't get the question too well, but if I can rephrase your question, you are saying that the guys who did not study sciences, how do they get into this tech space? Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are correct, sir.
Okay. So what's the name? I'm saying Pavilion. What's the name?
My name is Oluwatimilei.
Oluwatimilei. Okay, great. So Timilei, let me put it this way. I didn't study science. I studied economics in school.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, it will interest you to know that I don't have a master's yet. After almost 20 years of living in school. It will interest you to know. Let me put it this way. And I don't like using myself as an example. Why? I tell people that I'm a product of God's grace. So I don't joke with the God's grace part. I'm a product of God's grace and God's favor. I don't joke with that. But then again, I think, to answer your question properly, that the number of people who are currently in tech, if you check them, over 70% do not have tech background. That one I can tell you for a fact. Over 70% do not have tech background. I'll give you a good example. I have a very, very close friend of mine, as in is my guy. We went to school together. We studied economics together. When we left school, while I was in Zenith Bank, he was in Sky Bank. And after a while, he left Nigeria for America. Today, my friend writes codes. Today, I'm talking about a banker. Today is now a developer. He writes codes. So this tech business is in two ways. You can either go tech. When I mean tech, I mean technical, or you go tech business. I am in tech business. Technical are the developers. They're the guys who write the codes. They're the back-end engineers, front-end engineers. They're the full stack guys. Those are the guys that do the job. Now, there's the business part. You can be in tech sales. So one of the things I enjoy doing in this industry is I'm the king of partnerships. So I tell people that you will never ever build a solid tech platform if you don't open up to partnerships and collaborations. You will never ever get it right. You cannot survive. I was in Togo, Lomé, 2 weeks ago, yes, for the African Financial Industry Summit. And it was a big one. We had so many senior guys there in the financial industry. And I was in a closed door panel where the governor of the Central Bank of Kenya and Rwanda were chairing the panel. And when they had finished talking, I raised up my hand to speak. So I'm not afraid to talk, don't worry. I think that's one thing that makes me who I am. I raised up my hand to speak. And I said to them that, you see, the issue we have today is that for we on the tech side, when we're building and we're ideating, regulators also need to go to the field to understand our products before they say no to our products. And in that session where I start at that summit, I said to them that what is killing the industry today is that most tech startups see the next person as a competitor rather than collaborating. So during that session, I met Babs of Kuda, and I was asking him questions about his platform, that why do you have this particular thing on your platform? And he explained to me why it was on your platform. And I said to him, don't forget that Victor introduced me as Chief Operating Officer of a digital bank. Kuda is also what? A digital bank. And so when he explained to me, I told him, I said, wow, you've made me very happy this afternoon that I'm going to open up discussions with your team to see how I can connect. So I asked him, I said, is it possible for Kuda to offer me this as a service and our white label? And he said, oh yes, why not? You can do that. So in the industry, it's about collaboration and not competition. Now, to answer you directly is, forget, even if you studied Yoruba language as first degree, you now went back to school to do Igbo as second, you now did masters in Hausa, you are still okay to come into the industry. Whatever you studied doesn't matter. All you need to do is understand what you want to do when you come in. Do you want to be Mr. Tech? Do you want to write codes? Or do you want to be Mr. Business? Under business, do you want to be digital marketing? Do you want to be digital sales? Do you want to be a product manager? Do you want to be a product owner? Do you want to be a business analyst? The guy who sits down and says, oh, stakeholders want to build this laptop. What do we need? Oh, yeah, begin to write the requirements, then begin to validate them. Do you want to be a BA? Or do you want to be a data scientist who sits down and takes all the data fed into the system and says, guys, this is what we have. We have 50 men. We have more than one men than women. So I'm advising that we start building products for men than building women. Those are the things. So you need to understand first which one do you. Don't forget what you studied. I didn't study. Let me tell you. Let me answer you and end for the next person to ask this question. I never, ever in my entire life thought I would be in tech. Never. You know why? My mom was a banker. And I was, every time I was on holiday, I used to go to my mom's office. I would sit down in her office on her chair, sit down with playing solitaire card. I liked the way they would come and knock on the door. Oh, ma, we have this to sign. I said I would be a banker. And so when I left school, don't forget that my career said I was a banker. Zenith Bank, First Bank. I wanted to be a banker. My life dream was to be the MD of a bank. But I am here today in tech. And is it paying off? It is paying off. If I go back to the bank now, maybe I'll start driving Prado. I'll have driver that will be driving up and down. I'll carry my briefcase. But it's paying off. I never wanted to be in tech, but I found myself in tech, and man, it is amazing. It is interesting. So similarly, I think what you need to do is identify what part of tech you want to go into. Once you do that, you have two routes. You can go through the Eco Institute of Technology and go through their once you have that, by the side, take your own courses, online courses. There's so many of them. Start reading, or your free time, instead of Instagram, instead of Facebook, just go on YouTube, start looking at live, how projects are run. When I'm driving home, that's what I do. I just put on YouTube and I'm listening. Oh, this is how this project should run. So I don't know if I answered your question very well, Tim Lane.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I think Praise, you're raising your hand. Can you go on to ask a question, and then we can just round off.
Yeah. So good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll be talking about the tech industry itself. Like, going into some aspect of the tech industry can be somehow discouraging. I'm into front-end web development, and I'm looking into going into cybersecurity. But in cybersecurity, it's actually different from other aspects of tech, because as a front-end web developer, you can start earning even without having some of these courses. You can go on some of all these freelancing platform and make money. But as a cybersecurity technician also, you need to have some certificates. Like, I'm done with a course and I tried applying for some internship, but they're asking, like, I need a CIE certificate, and to get that CIE certificate, you need around $1,000. Is that not, that's somehow discouraging. So I don't know. My question is just centered on, what if you are passionate about in the tech industry, you are passionate about some aspects of learning the tech industry, and you are discouraged along the way? Like, how will you go about that? Just like that. I don't know if you can get me.
Praise, good question, because you and I were in the same boat. There are some PM courses I want to take, and when I see the money, I'm like, let me speak it. I do no kilo. I'm like, come on, I want to pay this kind of money for what? My office is not asking me to bring qualification now, and they're paying me good money. So those things come up. I agree, but guess what? Yeah, I took a few. I thought I was on leave. Actually, I took a few weeks off work for me to reboot and get ready for 2023. But unfortunately, every day I have been working. I've done a minimum of 3 meetings every day, even in this my leave. So my trainer asking me, are you actually on leave, Daddy? I say yes. It's called working leave. But then again, that's on by the side. What I have then done is, I've said to myself, I'm deliberate about it. There are some certifications I want to get, not because I don't know, not because I don't have the capacity, I don't have the value, I don't have the skills, but because sometimes somebody asked a question on the group chat there. Sometimes the person, some people are so myopic to the fact that if they don't see you with 25 certifications, they will not open some doors to you. So in those situations, we don't go in with pride to say, see, I know it. If you don't want me, you go. No, we look at what they want and we say, let's get it. So my advice to you, I have made up my mind that from January, I'm going to create a target savings account in my company, and I'll be putting a certain amount there every month. When my money is complete, I will go and take that certification. So if $1,000 today is roughly saying 750,000 naira. If you want to take that course in the course of the year, if it is 1 year, you know your capacity and how you want to save up for it. And let me not lie to you, taking a loan for that kind of thing is the best investment. Look at it again from that perspective. I take a loan and I pay over a period of 12 months. I take that loan from January, I pay for 12 months, I write my exam in February, and by March, April, I get a job because of that certification. Before December, I've paid your loan and I still have extra $2,000 in my pocket. So my advice to you, I'm advising you from my personal experience. I've been in that situation before and it has deprived me of many things. Let me give you a good example. You know, I told you that I don't have a master's. And so some bank reached out to me early this year for a role. And they offered me a senior role. That was the offer letter. There was no, I had not even negotiated with them. They just gave me, they just gave me a role, a senior role there. No negotiation yet. And so I was going to negotiate for the next role to say, you know what, let me take the next grade, which was a management grade. And because it was a bank, when you get to that grade, it is a CBN thing. CBN requires that you have XYZ. And so I went back to read the CBN prudential guidelines for that particular role. And I realized that you must have a first degree, you must have a second degree or a master's or a certification. And all I had was just a first degree. My current company has sent me to LBS to do an online digital marketing course. It ran for 3 weeks, but that couldn't be seen as a certification. So I couldn't present that. And for that reason, I couldn't ask them for the next grade. So you see where I'm coming from. And because of that, I told myself that whatever it takes in 2023, I was going to have a certification in this field that I'm practicing. So I would advise that take that same step. If you need to save up. If you need to borrow from not a loan shark that will tell you to pay 25%, you need to borrow from where you get good rates just to get a certification, get it, because in 3-4 months, you will pay off your loan and you still have excess because of that particular certification. I don't know if I give you, if that works for you. Praise, did you get that? Oh, okay. You said thank you. All right. Okay, Victor.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Damilare. I think you've done justice to today's section on closing the digital skills gap, upskilling and reskilling. And I believe many of our audiences, we have quite a number of persons joined via LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and some are dropping their comment as well. And I believe many of them have gotten value from your section, and really appreciate the load of values, knowledge you shared with us within this short period of time. I didn't even know we're going to use past our time, but it's a good and interactive conversation. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. In a couple of minutes, just permit me to share my screen as regards our upcoming programs at ECO Institute of Technology. So ECO Institute of Technology is the learning component of ECO Innovation Center. And what we are big on building and accelerating tech talent and employability ecosystem. So we believe quite a number of young people are looking at upskilling, reskilling, and they do not have either a kind of institute like EIT, for instance. We are not just helping to foster tech talent, we are building and we are also helping to accelerate, because we have a model around that, whereby we train young people for 2-3 months and we place them on internship placement with our partner firms. And within the next 6 months, we help accelerate you to either starting a career in that tech field or whichever career in tech you're looking at driving at. So for our forthcoming program, we're having a product design, product management program starting second week of January. So this is our new program coming up, the first cohort coming up next year, and we are giving out scholarship, we're giving out discounts for early batch registrations and people that are also part of this conversation to take opportunity to take these as a big opportunity to be a part of the program. So we all know product design, product management, they are kind of hot cake in the industry now. Even our speaker on the call, Damilari, is a senior product manager, and he has helped manage, loads of products in the fintech sector. So you can take hold of this opportunity to either learn product design by joining EIT program, or learn product management. You can check in our website, ecoinstituteoftechnology.com. That will be in the chat box. You can access the website from there and register for the program. And we have a flexible payment pattern for people that may not be able to pay at once. Like, for instance, Praise Asking is unable to afford the fee. So we have a flexible payment pattern whereby you can pay within 2-3 months and also be a part of the program, get internship placement, get your certification. And with this 6 months, you will get job placement with the partner firms. So it's been a great time, being part of this conversation and value field section with you all, as well as our amiable speaker, Damilari Mesimo. Till next year, when we come up with our next webinar at Eco Institute of Technology. Thank you everyone for joining, and have a great time.